over the weekend, it sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive. And now for the next 10 months, the gloves are off. I can finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump, starting right now. I don't care for him.
Oh, isn't he clever? Yeah, untruth to power. That's what he's speaking. Untruth to power. Thank you. It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for my buddy Chris Plant. Thanks for being here. We have so much to get to today. The Colbert Show fallout continues. Some of it pretty interesting. Colbert not only crafting that little gem of a statement, he also had a very popular among these types of people, a very popular statement that I think will probably likely go viral among the left, because suddenly they think it's very macho to curse, right? That's the thing. We're going to get into Hunter. We get an allocation of beeps that we can use on the radio, and I think we've already eclipsed the month's total. We might have to borrow from future bleeps in order to get through everything. But the Colbert situation, which is now bleeding over to the Jon Stewart situation, because let's face it, Paramount owns both of these shows, and it's part of the merger. So not only was Colbert at risk, but now apparently Jon Stewart and maybe several others as well. But Colbert not only said that last night, he said this as well.
In a completely unrelated story, on Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Yeah, it's very clever, very clever. There's your truth to power. Yeah, this is part of the anger that's coming out now, as the $16+ million gravy train is on its last few rails. Talk about a train to nowhere. It's going that way. And Jon Stewart is one that I think is really one we have to keep our eyes on. We played a little clip yesterday from Jon Stewart as he talked about the termination. He talked about how he anticipated, kind of felt like he was thinking he was in the crosshairs. Stewart does Monday nights. That's all he does, and God knows what they're paying him. And you know, if you can get paid a truckload of money to work one night a week, and it's Monday night, so you don't have to give up your weekends, you're a genius, or you have a great agent. But Stewart was on his show yesterday on Comedy Central, and he was talking very, very interesting thoughts about The Daily Show, which he calls the only real show on Comedy Central. Cut to Michael.
I understand the corporate fear. I understand the fear that you and your advertisers have with $8 billion at stake. But understand this, truly. The shows that you now seek to cancel, censor, and control, a not insignificant portion of that $8 billion value came from those shows. That's what made you that money. Shows that say something, shows that take a stand, shows that are unafraid. And not to, believe me, this is not we speak truth to power. We don't. We speak opinions to television cameras. But we try. We f***ing try every night. And if you believe, as corporations or as networks, you can make yourselves so innocuous that you can serve a gruel so flavorless that you will never again be on the boy king's radar, A, why will anyone watch you? And you are f***ing wrong. You want to know how impossible. Is it true?
The frustration has started to come out. And how long can they keep this up? That's my question. Can Stewart do this once a week forever? Or is he expected to get the door shown to him as well? I think he will. I think he will. It's a very interesting take. I think you're going to see the people, once this merger happens, and it looks like it's probably going to happen, once this merger comes together, I think there's going to be a little blowback that'll probably blow out the rest of it. The interesting thing on CNN Newsnight, there was a former Colbert writer, Pete Dominick, who was talking about the firing and the termination of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And I think he's wrong about this, very wrong about this. You may have heard this earlier, but I think it's important to share this clip again.
Will we ever know if this is why it happened, because of the parent company in the merger? No, but also yes. Because you know why? You don't kill your cash cow. I mean, TV's losing money across networks, and that's the trend that we're going. But Stephen Colbert is number one and has been for a long time. Also, Stephen Colbert...
The show's losing $40 million a year.
Every show is losing money. It's still making them plenty of money in ad revenue every year.
It just makes no sense. This shows you how disconnected these people are with reality. You can't say they're making money when they're not making money. As a matter of fact, when they're losing truckloads of money, absolutely gigantic truckloads of money. Very, very funny. Stewart, also, I got to go back to Jon Stewart a little bit. Jon Stewart talking about in this little, he did about a 10-minute, 11-minute rant about the whole thing. And he tried to clear it up and focus it all down. Cut 3, Michael.
So here's the point. If you're trying to figure out why Stephen's show is ending, I don't think the answer can be found in some smoking gun email or phone call from Trump to CBS executives or in CBS's QuickBooks spreadsheets on the financial health of late night. I think the answer is in the fear and pre-compliance that is gripping all of America's institutions at this very moment. Institutions that have chosen not to fight the vengeful and vindictive actions of our pubic hair doodling commander-in-chief. This is not the moment to give in. I'm not giving in. I'm not going anywhere. I think.
He's at least honest at the end of that. I thought he was very honest, but it descended into a bit of madness. And I do think that the GFY statement from Colbert earlier has now kind of found its way over to Comedy Central. And in fact, Stewart brought in a gospel group to help him say his truth to power in the big finish.
These are troubled times. Ooh, so sack the f*** up. But if you're afraid and you protect your bottom line, I've got but one thing to say. Just one little phrase. Go f*** yourself!
Wow. Classy.
Wait, bring it down. Let's bring it down. Little bit quiet. Yourself! Just go yourself! Everybody!
It should just be one long beat. That's all it's going to be. They are descending into madness here, truly. And it's got to be a sign. I'm sure someone in standards and practices is saying, what are we doing? Just pay them out and run old South Park shows. It really is sad. I feel good and bad for the gospel group that got to go up there and sing because they got the exposure. Let's face it, these are probably going to be the highest ratings that these shows have had. These are going to be the highest numbers they have seen in quite some time. Now, there is a very interesting rumor floating out there The New York Post has the story saying that Jimmy Fallon and other top comedians, they may be hitting the Late Show to rally around the canceled Stephen Colbert. Maybe they're going to come together and do kind of a We Are the World thing where they all join hands and sing We Are the Late Night, We Are the Comics. And if they do so, if they say they want to bring the late night family together, will they invite Greg Gutfeld? Will Gutfeld be part of this community? He is one of the late nighters, even though he's at 10 o'clock. Really interesting. We will see. We will see what happens on this. That's my little farewell, because I think it's coming. I would be surprised, would be very surprised, if both the Late Show with Colbert at the helm makes it all the way to the May deadline that the network has given him, because he can't sustain this. It cannot go on. It's really not smart. And even more so, the Daily Show with the rotating host. I doubt you're going to be seeing more of Jon Stewart. He's only on one night a week, but very interesting. All right, I did tee this up earlier. Who do you think is going to be the Democrat nominee in 2028? We know that there are going to be a new Republican nominee, just because we can't have a third Donald Trump presidency constitutionally. And the left seems to be thinking that, he's never going away. He's going to stay there forever. I'll play the comments from Beto O'Rourke just around the corner. But who could it be? Who do you think the Democrats are going to tap? I have put out a host of suggestions. We will get to it. 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris.
It is the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. And we talked about it. We speculated that Colbert might be doing a kind of a We Are the World gathering of late night hosts. They sort of did it last night, parodying that Kiss Cam, Coldplay Cam controversy, and had a bunch of people who usually associated with late night. But the creepiest thing, the inclusion of Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper and kissing together. Thank you, but no, just come on. So I'm not thinking they're going to do a We Are the World thing. Who knows, though? They've got till May, although I think that's not going to happen. So who do you think it's going to be? Who do you believe it's going to be that will helm the Democrat Party going forward in 2028? The jockeying has already started. It's already begun. Let's check in with Greg in Rockville, Maryland. Hello, Greg. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
Hello. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, sir. What's up?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say I don't think I would say it's not going to be Wes Moore from Maryland. He's trying to make the rounds, but he is not going to get even probably 5%. He's basically slightly better polished O'Malley, who got 0.5%. So I'm pretty sure he's not going to be in the mix. It sounds like it probably will be, unfortunately, it'll come down to probably like Gavin Newsom and some other creep. But I'm pretty sure Wes Moore, he's run this state into the ground. We had a surplus. He spent it all. He won't say no to the teachers union. He won't say no to the far left people in Annapolis. He's just one of the worst, most unsuccessful, least qualified governors I've ever, unfortunately, had to live under here in Maryland. I mean, O'Malley was terrible, but this guy is really just unqualified for the job. And for him to think that he can run for president it's outrageous, frankly. But it's a weak crop.
It is a weak crop. That's an excellent analysis of it. I think that's kind of interesting. The the possibility exists that he may be somebody's running mate. I think there is a chance that you're going to see him put forward because he is what the left likes to call telegenic. He's telegenic, means he's pretty on camera. But thank you for that. Interesting analysis on that. Who do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be somebody who may have been previously helping out a president and has been mayor of Chicago in the past? Could that be something that goes on? Maybe a Rahm Emanuel?
Do you believe boys should be able to play in girls' sports?
No.
Do you believe that...
Is this the round robin?
Yeah, we'll do a quick rapid fire. And then we can move past this.
Okay.
Do you believe that kids under the age of 18 should be able to be put on puberty blockers and then cross-sex hormones?
I think parents have to make that decision themselves. I think that a child is too young at 18 to make that decision. It has to be made with a family and that choice. I think before somebody makes a life decision, they have to think twice about that.
So you disagree then with the Tim Walz policy in Minnesota, where a child who doesn't get affirmed by his parents can go into Minnesota and get jurisdiction there and get the parental decision overruled?
Yeah, look, I think these are life decisions, and I'm also slightly both. I have two minds, not two minds, but two strains that influence an opinion. One, there's a life decision, and a child can't make that decision. You have to have some moral development and character and judgment and foundation for that.
Interesting. Moral development and character and foundation for that.
Two, parents have to be involved in that, and I think that's for them to make. I don't think the public should be in that space.
Interesting as well. Rahm Emanuel sounding a lot more reasonable, and I think this is the way the Democrat Party is going to turn. They're going to step away from all the madness, all of the craziness. Let's talk to Sherry, listening on the WMAL app in Akron, Ohio. Hello, Sherry. Who do you think it's going to be?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good, madam. How are you?
Great. I was calling you. First of all, I think you do a great job when Chris is
Thank you.
out of town, and I've heard you. I think you were on Bongino a couple times, and I forget the guy who was after Bongino. But
I make the rounds, but I've never. Yeah, I filled in for Vince on occasion, and been here on Chris's flagship station in various time slots. But thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I was calling today. I was just scrolling through apps, and I heard Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about some crypto bills that's in the House right now.
Yes.
That is possibly that the the central bank will end up taking up, and they're trying to now I can't imagine President Trump doing this, but trying to make our money all crypto.
Yeah, I'm up against the clock here, Sherry. I think this is a really hot issue, and I'm one of those people that that does not want a digital dollar. Listen to me. I don't want a digital dollar. I don't want a digital dollar. I like our currency just the way it is. But this is a battle we're going to have to fight. We'll get back to the phones. There's so much activity. It's Michael Pelkin for Chris Plante on the Chris Plante Show. Chris Plante Show. Michael Pelka in for my pal Chris Plante. He's on a cruise ship, hanging out with a few of the listeners, having a good time, and I'm hanging out with many of you on the radio. We are asking questions, and you are answering, and so I want to try and get back to the phones, and then we'll crank up some more of the clips from today. I was just talking to Michael Piercy during the break. We just have too much. We're trying to get to everything. Let's go to my old hometown of Chicago and check in with a few of you listening on the great WLS. Ziggy, listening on WLS. Hello, Ziggy. Welcome to the Chris Plante Show. Ziggy? I guess Ziggy, hang on. We'll come back to you. Let's go to Don, also listening on WLS.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
Hey, Don, welcome. Glad you're here, sir.
Speaking to you from your old hometown, it's got to be one of the top contenders only because he's worth $30 billion is J.B. Pritzker. The Democrats like money, and he could buy his way all the way to the top. Whether he can make it, no way. The guy is governed over a state that's in disarray and just bankrupt, basically, and he thinks he's doing well.
Yeah, I think he's one of those establishment candidates that is not going to light up the AOC voters and the Mandami voters and some of the more progressive end, even though he's very progressive. I just think he's too confrontational. So you're right. He's one of those people that thinks he can buy it. Excellent point. Thank you. Let's go to Patrick on WLS in Chicago. Hello, Patrick.
Hello.
What's up, sir?
I was just calling. You were talking about Colbert and Stewart, sure. And I don't want to say vilifying. That might be an overstatement, but just kind of dumping on them. And they're not really the story. The story is Paramount trying to get this merger done with CBS and whoever else, and they're trying to bend the knee to Trump and remove any kind of criticism towards the administration. That's the story, not that Jon Stewart's swearing or the ratings for the next month or two. That's just a total red herring, and it's just bearing the real story here. So I don't know why.
Well,
you guys...
let's talk about that, Patrick. Do you think it's improper for a company to cut a show that's losing them $20 to $40 million a year?
I think from what I've heard that the show makes money. Still, it's one of the hallmarks of the network.
I don't know where you're hearing that. Every report says that CBS, which ultimately is Paramount, is losing $20 to $40 million a year on this show.
Well, you lose the money on lots of things. It's it's not my decision to make, but you invest in things. It's an institution. I don't know the numbers behind it, to be honest with you. But even if that was the case, either way, the real reason they're getting rid of the show isn't because of the money. Because I'm sure at different times and different points in times in network broadcast, they lose money on shows all the time. You're really going to lose money. I think the question was going to be if you're going to lose $20 or $40 million.
Patrick, hang on a second here, Patrick. What do you do in life? What do you do for a living?
I'm in marketing.
Okay,
I have a college degree. I've been around the world.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's great. I'm glad. But you obviously understand, because you have a marketing degree, that if you market a product and you can't sell it and can't make money on it, it's not something you're going to stay with, especially if you're a publicly held company, and that publicly held company has an obligation to its shareholders or to its owners. A board of even a private company has an obligation to its owners to turn a profit. Otherwise, you're going to be like PBS and expect the government to support you, and that's just not what this is about. I understand your strident response here, saying that we don't understand the story, but unless you have inside information, there are many reasons why a show gets canceled. And as someone who worked at network television, which I did for 3 years, created programs for network television, if you don't get the ratings and can't support it, you're gone. I've had that meeting. I've been in that meeting. I've also been in the meeting where we got ratings. So I've been thanked and I've been dumped. So I get it. But the reason we dump on Stewart and Colbert is also because it's fun, and they seem to be denying reality. They've had the ability to just attack the political enemy of the left, which is Donald Trump, for so long without any balance at all. To say that Colbert spoke truth to power is just not true. He had softball questions to every liberal guest that he could find. But the reality is, at the end of the day, it has to be economic. Companies are there to make money. Companies sell stuff, and if they can't make money on it, they stop selling stuff. But, you can have your opinion on it. That's what makes this country so great. And whenever we have more fun, stupid things that come out of Colbert and out of Jon Stewart, we're probably going to play them. Because I'm suggesting that maybe at least once a week for the next 10 months or however long Colbert is allowed to have this long march to the end of his show, that the Chris Plant show shares one of the dumber things he's done in the past. I would like to hear us playing the dancing syringes for COVID again. I would like to play the ridiculous segment with Mark Cuban, venting his spleen over Donald Trump, and some of it's so pitiful. But that's me. That's what I think is entertaining. But I respect your opinion. I just think you're incorrect on this one. But thank you. Let's see if Ziggy is back. Ziggy, listening on the great WLS. Hey, Ziggy.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Coming in loud and clear, brother.
All right, good, right on. I hate Pritzker. I hate Johnson. I think what they're doing to the state of Illinois is everything they're doing is wrong. But they say crime is down, which is bull. I think they both own property in cemeteries. So they're letting the killing go on and on and on. And election time, I think we're going to have a lot of dead people voting for Pritzker and Johnson. What do you think?
Well, interesting thing here, Siggy. Now, I thought you were going to go a different direction with they own cemeteries, so they're making money off the crime and the death. That's interesting. Now, there has been, oddly enough, since the election of Donald Trump and the crackdown led by our border czar, Tom Homan, since that happened, there's been a massive decline in the murder rate and the violent crimes. We still have Chicago still being tracked. There's a website called HeyJackass.com that tracks all the crime in Chicago, especially the murders and the both gun and other murders in the city. And when you said they own cemeteries, I thought you'd be saying that's their voting base. I do think was it last year in the middle of the summer, it appeared that Chicago and the people in Chicago, especially the black community in Chicago, started standing up and going, hold on a second. You're giving all this money to all these people who've come here illegally when you're not supporting our community centers. These people are taking away from our schools. They're taking away from our recreational facilities. I think that is astounding, and I'm wondering when that community is finally going to wake up and say the people in charge aren't supporting them. So Brandon Johnson, one of them, Governor Pritzker, another. Until the voters make the change, I don't think you dig yourself fully out of the problem. And I was there for the original Mayor Daley through most of his terms, and Gene Byrne, et cetera, Mike Blandick, Harold Washington, all those guys. But until the city decides to make a change, I don't think it fully comes back to straight-up capitalism. We'll see. But thank you, Ziggy. I appreciate it. Let's go to Charles in Frederick, Maryland. Hello, Charles. Welcome to the Chris Plant Show.
You were talking about who would be the leadership of who would the Democratic Party and this progressive ministry in terms of whatever. But I'll be honest with you. If you're talking about who would be the direction and who would be the selection in terms of the Democratic Party, I'm saying to you that would be Satan. And all I'm just saying to you, that everything that they do is against Judeo-Christian ethics in our countries. And all I'm just saying is that unless we fight against this, I was a communist over the years. I have not been for something that was not Judeo-Christian in terms of environment. I thank you for you.
I understand what you're saying. I just, I don't think we could see the name Satan on the ballot. I completely understand what you're saying. But I was talking more about who are these potential leaders, mostly because I had a couple of very interesting clips from some of the people who are starting to suddenly pop up, not the usual suspects like Gavin Newsom. There were some new ones. But thank you, Charles. Appreciate you being there. And one of those people who I've mentioned repeatedly today and yesterday is I think he's lost, is Beto O'Rourke. Remember him? He suddenly has stepped up, and he thinks he's going to be presidential timber.
At this moment of truth, our kids, our grandkids are going to be wondering, why didn't you step up and save this country when you had the chance? So,
wait a minute. You're being asked, hey, why didn't you step up and save this country when you had a chance? What's the problem here? Democrats see this great divide. It sounds like Beto is pitching a civil war.
Not everything is going to appeal to everyone, but we must do everything we can with what we have right now, or we're going to lose the republic.
Wait. We're going to lose the republic. We're back to that. At least they're not saying we're going to lose our democracy, because that's what they were saying up until Trump was elected. Our democracy is at risk. They have finally latched on to the reality that we are not a democracy, but we are, in fact, a republic. This was on an interview with Major Garrett on CBS's little program called The Takeout. I guess it's online.
Is America a tyrannical country now?
Wait. Major Garrett asks, Beto, is America a tyrannical country?
It is descending into it as quickly as anyone has seen.
Wait, we're descending into tyranny? Seriously.
One in living memory. We've never seen a crisis of constitution, rule of law, or government of the people, by the people, for the people, since perhaps the attacks that preceded the Civil War.
Wait a minute. Beto O'Rourke thinks that we are on the verge of a civil war.
Loss of more than 300,000 Union dead to preserve this country as a free nation and to end slavery and defeat the Confederacy. I sure as hell hope that this does not descend into further violence and armed conflict. I want us to resolve this democratically, peacefully, and nonviolently. But within those parameters, let us do everything that we can, because if we fail to do that, the other side is going to consolidate this power, and it might very well spell the end of this noble experiment.
I have an idea. Here's an idea for Beto O'Rourke. And that's the end of the clip, so I don't know if Major Garrett said it, but I would have loved it if Major Garrett would have said, here's an idea. Tell Democrats to stop shooting people. Tell Democrats to stop trying to kill the president. Tell Democrats to stop. That would be my idea. But trust me, Beto is going to try and make a comeback. Beto is trying to make it back. Ay, it's madness. It's absolutely madness. I have to take a break. It's Mike Opelka. This is the Chris Plant Show. You're welcome to join us at 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. We have the Hunter clips. We just have to make sure we get every F-bomb taken out of them. He has overused his allocation this month. We now have an F-bomb deficit thanks to Hunter Biden. We had to borrow F-bombs from people in Brooklyn. Apologies to Brooklyn. Some that came from the Bronx, too. It's Mike Opelka in for Plant on the Chris Plant Show. It's the Chris Plant Show. Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant. We're just going over all of the blowback from some of the recent callers. So just a little hip tip to those calling into the show. If your call doesn't go the way you anticipated going, if your thesis, your presentation to the host is shot down because it's factually deficient or just silly, you don't call back and berate the screener. That's not a sign of working and playing well with others. You'll get low grades when the report cards come out on that, and you know who I'm talking to. You're well aware. You're on the disciplined couch for the rest of the show, sir. It is the Chris Plant Show. We're trying to get to everything today. There's just so much. I know next hour is going to be very Hunter intensive, but we were talking about everything. So let's do a little bit of a lightning round, zip through some of the phones, and then next hour we'll just kick it up a notch and go back to everything we can. You know how this works. Get as much of your statement out as quickly as you can. For the record, I'm doing fine. I'm feeling good. Thanks for listening to the show. So let's do it. Let's light up the lightning round. Let's go to James in D.C. Hello, James. Welcome.
Hey, Mike. Good morning. I enjoy your show, and when you fill in anywhere, it's always a pleasure to hear you.
My pleasure.
I called because, I have a reaction to when politicians use the word about the United States being an experiment. And I feel as though, after 250 years, it's no longer really an experiment. I mean, what kind of experiment lasts 250 years? I think in general, when Beto O'Rourke talks about it, and I would say that some Republicans use that word, but it's primarily Democrats. And, they are manipulators of language. And language is the key to freedom.
Well, that's true. Especially that First Amendment. And one of the things that we were pointing out, James, is watch, and I'm telling everybody, watch the Democrats. They're no longer going to stop. They're going to stop talking about saving our democracy, and they're talking about saving our republic. It's like when they shifted from Democrats to progressives. This is a major shift for them, but they're trying to get back to the middle. I got to keep the lightning round rolling here. Thank you, James. Let's go to Mike in Middletown, New Jersey. Mike, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, just on making money with Tonight shows, Carson, when he renegotiated his contract in the late 70s, was bringing in approximately 20% of all of NBC's television network revenue. That's the guy making money.
Wow.
I mean, hence why he got everything he wanted. The show was cut down from 90 minutes to 60 minutes because he wanted it, and that's why you got the Late Show with David Letterman, because they gave him more time. That's how big he was.
Unbelievable. That concept of profitability, it certainly passes by some people when their eyes are glazed over by the myopia of progressiveness. Thank you, Mike. Let's go to Bob in Leesburg, Florida. Hello, Bob. You're on the Chris Plant Show. Bob.
Yeah, Michael, real quick. The average demographic for the Late Show I read was 68, which to advertisers is like death and dialing, basically.
Yes.
Death Valley.
You're exactly right. That was one of the reasons why CBS made a business decision to move to Colbert, because they thought after Letterman's average viewer was 60 years old, the Colbert Report on Comedy Central was getting a 44-year-old viewer. Unfortunately, when they brought Colbert to CBS, they didn't drag all those Colbert Report viewers from Comedy Central. And the demo got older, and the revenue got smaller. And that doesn't work for a company. But thank you. That was excellent, Bob. Excellent stuff. All right, it's Michael Pelka. Good lightning round. Thank you. All of you are starting to get it. I like the lightning round. I hope you do, too. You're welcome to join us again. Third hour of the show coming up. Let's go to Hunter. Let's have some fun with Hunter next on the Chris Plant Show.